What is the story of Betty Broderick in Dirty John Season 2? Have you ever heard of a story that spiraled from love to tragedy? The tale of Betty Broderick, as depicted in Dirty John Season 2, is one such story. This season presents a dramatization based on real events that shook the community. It focuses on the tumultuous marriage, bitter divorce, and shocking double homicide involving Betty Broderick and her ex-husband, Dan Broderick. Betty and Dan married young and built a life together in San Diego. Betty supported Dan through law school, and they raised 4 children. However, as time passed, their relationship began to crumble. Dan became a successful medical malpractice attorney and started an affair with Linda Colkenna, who he later married. This affair was a turning point that led to a highly contentious divorce filled with legal battles and emotional turmoil. The divorce proceedings were anything but smooth. Betty engaged in increasingly erratic behavior, which included vandalizing Dan's property and leaving threatening messages. She was even arrested for violating restraining orders. Many viewed the legal system as favoring Dan, who used his legal expertise to gain sole custody of their children and limit Betty's access to their shared assets. This left Betty feeling isolated and desperate. In November 1989, Betty used a key from one of her daughters to enter Dan and Linda's home. In a shocking act, she shot and killed both Dan and Linda while they were asleep. Betty later claimed she had no memory of pulling the trigger, describing herself as emotionally overwhelmed. During her trial, she pleaded not guilty, arguing self-defense and citing years of psychological abuse and legal manipulation. The first trial ended in a mistrial due to a hung jury. However, a second trial resulted in Betty's conviction on 2 counts of second-degree murder. She was sentenced to prison and remains incarcerated, with eligibility for parole set for 2032. From a true crime perspective, this case is notable for its examination of domestic conflict and the psychological impact of prolonged legal battles. It highlights how emotional and legal stressors can escalate to violence, especially when one party feels victimized by the system. The case sparked public debate about the treatment of women in divorce proceedings and the limits of self-defense claims in intimate partner violence cases. Dirty John Season 2 dramatizes these issues, bringing real-life events to a wider audience. It explores themes of betrayal, revenge, and the consequences of unchecked conflict. The show's portrayal remains faithful to the main facts while dramatizing the emotional struggles of those involved. For viewers interested in true crime, Betty Broderick's story serves as a cautionary example of how personal and legal disputes can spiral into tragedy.